So the story of the crystals and gems that I promised you. So, this story starts when I was born. So we'll jump through the middle though, and keep eyes open for, I'm writing 3 books right now, and one of them is going to be the story of Kelly. And it's actually going to take you through a journey of how everything in my life led me to the next, as it all does in our life. And what Ian had taught me all those years ago was I wasn't well because I wasn't able to sit still and be with myself. And so that sent my journey for 23 years. While I was pain-free, I wasn't pain-free if I was still. And now my favorite place is to be still. I thought the peanut gallery was going to laugh when I said that. No, yeah. I'm the happiest when I'm still. And the reality is I spend every morning being still. I love my Flow Prezzo. I came in today on my birthday to give myself a Flow Prezzo, which then I made her extend by 15 minutes or 10 minutes. I was like, no, I need a 55-minute Flow Prezzo, because I've gotten so addicted to being. And yet at the same time, I didn't understood what Ian meant when he said, oh, energy helped you. Energy is what healed your body all those years ago. And so I started studying. And so on the journey went, and we got into the physical world of understanding the biological science and pleomorphism and all that. And in my 23-year-long journey, which part of Sarah is part of that journey, which we can't really go into all that right now, but I met Sarah when she was 20. Well, I didn't meet her when you were 23, but she came to work for us when I was 23. We reconnected in a capacity of professional manner when she was 23 years old and I was 46, because we're 23 years apart. Remember that for the book. And there's a 23 thing. Those of you who know me, you know that this story, you probably know parts of this story. But I want to end at the end of the story, which is, you know, as you heard in the previous little video that Alyssa and I did in the newsletter, that we opened up, or beginning to open up, the second office in South Carolina. Well, how did that come to be? Let me tell you the story how that came to be. 23 years ago, I met this guy named Ian Kennedy, and he helped me get better and with energy. And I said, what's that mean? And he goes, oh, it's cool, huh? And I said, no, I'm going to study it. 3 years later, I moved to Pennsylvania when the company we were working for closed, because he said the winters weren't bad in Pennsylvania. Lie number 1 from Ian Kennedy. So I moved here under the complete misguidance of the fact that the winters here were not good. Now, I lived in upstate Western New York. I went to school in Ithaca, New York. So when I graduated, I went to Maryland. And that wasn't warm enough. So then I went to Virginia, and that wasn't warm enough. So then I ended up in Texas, and I was like, this is cool. I like it here. In Austin and San Antonio, it's hot all the time. So I lived there for a couple of years. Then I moved to Florida and Arizona and California. Notice below, like where it's hot is where I lived. And then I was living in Florida. He's like, oh no, move up here to Pennsylvania. The winters aren't so bad. 23 years ago. So fast forward, we've now have a business of 16 years. We have a family, we have a life. And 2 winters ago, it was -3 degrees and it was 60 5 days later. And I turned to him and go, oh no, we're buying a second house somewhere and it's going to be pretty there. And it's going to be sunny and it's going to be like nice. And I'm never spending my birthday in the winter ever again. I'm recording this in Pennsylvania on January 22nd, my birthday, just saying. But that being said, I said that 2 years ago. And our friends, Janet and George, moved, stick with me for this story, it's worth it, to South Carolina. Now, they have been my friends for 25 years. They lived here in Pennsylvania, about 40 minutes from us for years. And they just realized that they could live anywhere because of what they did. So they wanted to move somewhere where the weather was nicer. So they were going to move to North Carolina. Right before they moved, we had a dinner and they said, oh, just kidding. We've changed our mind. We're going to move to Hilton Head area, what's called Bluffton, South Carolina. I was like, Bluffton? I've never heard of Bluffton, South Carolina. 3 weeks later, 2018 in November, I found myself in Germany at the Baden-Baden MediWeek conference. Dr. Caratola, Jerry, was coming on that trip with a bunch of colleagues, and he brings 2 people. They sit down next to me. I'm like, oh, hi, who are you? And they're like, oh, we're Alina and Rich Porcelli. Oh, what do you do? Oh, we're biological dentists. Oh, that's great. Where are you? We're in Hilton Head. Oh, well, that's cool. My friends just moved there. Well, actually, we're in Bluffton. I was like, really, Bluffton? They just moved there 3 weeks ago. Their office and their house is 7 minutes apart. So I said, ooh, maybe I can get Ian to move to Bluffton or have a second house in Bluffton. So not move, don't get me confused, to have a second house in Bluffton where we can vacation, where our friends are, and there's a biological dentist there because, you know, I can't go anywhere where there's not a good biological dentist. And I've really been practicing on talking slower. So here we are. Now we are in COVID hits. Okay. We vacation there last July, and before COVID hits, we vacation there in July of 19. So November of 18, I met them. They moved there. July of 19, we have our first family vacation. I go, let's go to Bluffton and see if we like it. And we loved it. We loved the energy there, and we just loved the people there. We just loved it. So we had a dream space, and we said, okay, within a year, we're going to have some kind of like condo or apartment or something that we can come here and vacation and be with our family and be 20 minutes from the beach where Kelly's really happy. And so what's going on over there? A beep. She's got a beep. Okay. So then COVID hits of this year, March, April, May. By May, we're stir crazy at my house. Silas actually wanted me to do an overnight in this office, which I did because it was so stir crazy. He wanted a different environment. At which point I said, maybe we should travel down to South Carolina and see our friends, Janet and George. They have a pool. Let's go spend some time down there since we're all locked up anyway. So we went down for a vacation. And when I went down, I called my friend, Dr. Porcelli, and said, hey, I'm coming down. I want to have, a dinner with you and Alina, and we want to get together. And Rich was like, oh, no problem. And we talked about his business. And he said he had increased his practice during COVID because of the amount of people that are breaking teeth from stress. And I said, what? I'm bringing a Flow-Prezzo, and we're going to give some of these people a Flow-Prezzo on my vacation. You can imagine my husband and my son were not so psyched about the fact that I was now packing a Flow-Prezzo for our vacation. But that's what happened. And then I started doing Flow-Prezzos, and then Dr. Porcelli was like, well, you got to meet this chiropractor. And so I met this chiropractor, Dr. Avery, and oh my God, I loved him. And then we're like, well, why don't you keep the Flow-Prezzo here in your center? And then people can come here and do Flow-Prezzos, and that will help them de-stress. And then Rich's best friend, Dr. Porcelli's best friend, is a realtor. And bottom line is, somehow in the magic carpet ride during COVID, I ended up with a second house in South Carolina. While I'm down there, his friend, who's the realtor, says, oh, I own a spa at the Marriott in Hilton Head. And so I said, oh, you need a Flow-Prezzo. So we got a Flow-Prezzo. And then I'm there doing the training a couple weeks later, a month later. And this guy's in the class and says, Black Market Mineral Shop. And I go, what'd you say? He said, Black Market Mineral Shop. I said, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's the best gem and crystal shop I've ever been on the planet. You got to go to it. So I make my way there. I think the first time I went were you the first time I went?
No.
I think it was just Ian, Silas, and myself. And we were there for about an hour and a half. And we had a lot of fun. And we bought a lot of crystals and gems. And then you guess you came down the next week or something. Mm-hmm. And then Sarah came down to South Carolina. And then Sarah and our whole family went. And it became the place that I needed to go to. As much as I needed to get to the beach, I needed to go to the Black Market Mineral Shop. And what's crazy about it, do we have the black book that I was going to send to Ashley?
I think we sent yesterday.
Is it here in the office? Because I can't find my version of it, but it'd be really cool to show everybody that. But we're there the first day, we're buying all this stuff. And I say to Ian, I want to buy this book. I don't know what it is. I can't open the book. It's sealed, but it's all about crystals and gems and herbs. And bottom line was I was really attracted to the book, and it was only $20, but I just felt like I needed to mention that to Ian. I wanted to buy it. He was like, why are you going to buy that book? We have so many books, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I need this book. Well, the 2 days prior when I was at that training, I was putting together the PowerPoint, and I couldn't find a good picture of the lymphatic system at all. And even on the internet everywhere, that I really wanted to just denote the main veins, the main arteries, the main vessels of the lymphatics. So I open this book now, I turn it, page 1, I'm reading the forward, I'm reading acknowledgements. Page 5 talks about how all the gems and crystals and stones work on the lymphatic system. And the next page is the most beautiful picture of the human body with a denoting of the main vessel of the lymphatics. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I was just looking for this and the answer was right here. I just had to follow my heart and not think about why I wanted the book. I had to follow my heart. And so the crystals and gems, I started following my heart. I didn't think about what anything was meaning or what each one represented. I just kept going back to the store and finding who needs what. And I started with my staff. Well, what do they need? And what do my friends need? And all this stuff. And I wanted it for everybody else Those of you who have given me crystals and gems or have been in my office, you know I give a lot of crystals and gems out because they have energy. Everything on the planet vibrates, and they all give certain amount of energy to things, and they're naturally occurring, like the earth makes them. And some of them are so incredibly beautiful. Like here's a couple samples, which we're going to talk about these two, but this is naturally occurring on the planet Earth. Like it's amazing, right? So everybody knows I'm kind of freaked out about this black market mineral shop. We have our Christmas party. I give everybody black market mineral chatch, basically stuff from the black market mineral shop. And what does my great staff give me but a gift certificate for the black market mineral shop? I'm sorry, you gave it to Ian and I. And once again, I made that Freudian slip of saying, oh, that's too bad, Ian. You didn't get anything for the holiday. I got a gift certificate for the black market mineral shop. Sorry for you, honey. So last week, Carrie, who is not here, she's the missing element in our staff today, but Carrie's on vacation in Florida, and Carrie has stepped into the role of being my chief executive, my chief operating officer, my chief staff, to help me get to the next level with a podcast, with the secondary center, with all the things that we're doing, all these moving parts. She's helping me organize that and get people properly trained and in the right categories. So Carrie is my very good friend for many years, and she started the journey with me 3 years ago when I went on the trip to California on my birthday, actually 4 years ago today, to see Abraham Hicks. And if you don't know what that is, look it up and we'll go from there. Most of you listening to this probably already know what it is. So I walk into this gem and crystal shop with Carrie and I go, I want something for me, not for anybody else this time. I'm going to buy something for me. So I walk in with the intention that I need something for me. So I close my eyes and I beeline right for the front desk where they have these two cabinets. And last time I was there, I went with a colleague, a client from South Carolina, Susan, and I went to the store, and she bought a bunch of stuff for her sister and herself, and I was helping her navigate the store. And then I saw this one particular crystal, and it was laying up on the counter, and it wasn't this exact piece, but it looked like this. And I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. It's crazy. It looks like little tiny circles and grapes. And the reason I like this black market mineral shop is that they've got amazing selection and their prices are really low. But this particular piece was laying on the counter. I had never seen it before, and it was expensive comparatively. So I ignored it and went on. So now I walk into the shop, and they didn't have any other pieces, by the way. I walk in the shop, I beeline for the front desk, and there's a cabinet full of these. And all it does is it has the name. Now, everywhere else in the store, they have the name with a little explanation of what it does. There's no explanation. So I say to the guy at the desk, who I've gotten to know, what is this? What does this do? What is its properties? What's it known for? And he goes, oh, I know it's called grape agate or grape chalcedony. I don't say it very well. Chalcedony. So I said, okay, well, what's that about? He goes, oh, I know. So he goes and grabs a book. At this point, they have multiple books there. I bought every book they have. So he grabs a book and I'm like, I don't know that cover of that book. What is that book? He goes, oh, it's a new book. I said, oh, are you getting more of those books? He said, yeah. I go, I want that book. When that book comes in, I want that book. I hoard books. Okay. I love books. So he goes, I know it's in here because it's on the cover. I go, oh, that's interesting. It's on the cover. This thing that I've never seen before. Okay. It gets crazy, folks. Okay, so I go and he starts reading it. And when I met Ian, I didn't like my name, Kelly. I wanted to change my name to Grace. So this is called grape agate, better known as Grace. Now you get the present you gave me today for my birthday?
I sure do.
Okay. So crystals and John keep showing up, sending me signals. And my point of all this is I want you to listen to this. This right here is the culmination of my entire life in a crystal. For every lesson I've ever wanted to learn is right here waiting for me. Had I just paid attention probably 23 years ago, I could have found this sooner, but I wasn't open enough and I judged things. I don't judge anything anymore. I just go with the
Whoa.
Oh, good. So it's called Grace. And purple, if anybody knows anything about me, purple is my favorite color of all time. Okay, so, and Alyssa just joined our team. She did not know that. And she just redesigned our website and the color she chose was purple. So sedative and calming. Do we think we might need pounds of this in Kelly's room? Grape agate cleanses perception, identifying what is important, helping you sit in silence and simply be. So the first sentence, I'm like, okay, first it has the name. Then the second sentence, I'm like, okay, it's my lifelong journey of learning how to be and teaching other people how to be. And now I have flow presence on the soul to teach people how to be, which is what Ian's lesson was 23 years ago. Sarah is 23. She was born when that happened. And so that goes from there. Activating the karma of grace that says you only have to do enough. It's tranquil gentleness, dismantles defenses, and opens your heart. So let's talk about that sentence. Those of you who know anything about this world, we've probably talked about Epstein-Barr virus, and I've probably given you at some point the affirmation for Epstein-Barr. And what is that affirmation? I relax and recognize what? Oh, I am good enough. Oh, okay. So what does that sentence say? It's a karma of grace that says that you are enough. And then the second part of that sentence says to open your heart. And what is Sound of Soul about? Opening your heart. And it gets crazier. It heals the inner terrorist that sneakily whispers fear into your heart. Isha came into our life during the this holiday, the dog that we introduced you to. We had wanted a Bernese Mountain mini poodle together. We had put in a bunch of applications. Nobody was even responding. We kind of gave up. I got stuck home one day waiting for somebody, did a bunch of research. I called a number, was so skeptical because it was so easy, right down to the point, instead of traveling and waiting 6 months and going to Utah or South Carolina to get this dog, you can drive an hour from your house. She, which is what you wanted, was a female, will be available for a third, well, about a fifth less monetarily than any other dog of her breed. She's an hour from your house. She's a female. Oh, and would you meet Mary at the church on Christmas Eve to pick up your Christmas miracle just to add to the equation? And I was so skeptical. I had so much fear in my body that I was so ashamed of, in all honesty, because I wanted to trust these people and I didn't. I called them 7 times over the course of 3 days, questioning them to the point where the transporter finally said to me, you know, you use the word energy. Do you believe in muscle testing? And I was like, what? You just use muscle testing to me, you dog handler person? Yeah, okay, this dog is supposed to be ours. And to the point where the main gentleman that I was speaking to finally said to me, Kelly, I don't know what to tell you. At the end of the day, you just have to trust that we're good people and we're going to show up with this dog and that we're not scamming you. And I literally was like, you know, Josh, it's weird for me to not trust you, because what I instill in everybody at our center is to have faith. Have faith in their body, have faith that the universe has your back, have faith that you know that you are a good person and that when you think good thoughts, your body will heal. We have people travel all across the world to come see us, to spend $10,000 in a week to one of our centers. And we're not medical doctors. And they're doing this on faith. And I'm not trusting this guy that's willing to meet me at a church with Mary for my Christmas miracle on Christmas Eve to give me a dog that I don't have faith that he's a good person. He's actually going to show up. Do you see the dichotomy here? And I called him on Christmas crying, thanking him, because I realized that fear had snuck into me. And I'm telling you, it was this last year. Fear had snuck into me that I didn't trust humanity anymore. And I don't want to live in a world, I never want to live in a world where I feel like we can't trust humanity, that we can't trust our neighbors to be good people, because we all come from goodness. That's what Sound of Soul's here to teach us. And when I met Ian 23 years ago, one of the things he taught me was I couldn't trust people because people can't trust themselves. And he has changed his tune dramatically over these last 23 years, as have I. Helped him, I hope, changed his mind about that one thing. And through the work of Sadhguru and so many other things, I've watched my husband have faith again in humanity. And I watched it disappear for me during this Christmas, and my dog Isha reinstill it into me, because we have to have faith in each other and the connection that we all have together, because we all come from one. We all go back to one. That is the one thing that unites every single person on this planet. And we need to remember that, and we need to stay connected to that. That's what flow is really about, is connecting with ourselves so that we can authentically connect with others. I've only known Lissa for a few weeks. I've only known Sarah for a few years. I've only known Bree for a few months. I've known Julie for 7 years. I love love them each as deeply as I love myself, because I know they are all part of me and I am part of them. And we all function as one unit, as one team, just like we all do in this world. Are you with me? Stay with me. So that was just about opening our heart. And just about opening our heart. A wonderful emotional support, soothing fears. It heals the inner terrorist that sneakily whispers the fear into the heart. We talked about that. Drawing like-minded people together for mutual support. It reminds you that even when you appear totally alone, help is on its way. A year and a half ago, Dr. Christine Schaffner and I finally physically met. And we met over the phone, and then we physically met in November of this year. I went to her center, and her and I had a connection like I've had with very few people. And a little thing came up that we were at dinner, and her daughter was playing with this little stuffed animal, and I didn't know what it was. And it's called a narwhal, and it looks like a little, what's it called? A little like seal with a horn, they call it the unicorn of the sea. And we laughed about it. The waitress came over and had a tattoo of a narwhal on her hand, and we both started to laugh. And I said, "Oh, got it." She goes, "Oh yeah, narwhals I see everywhere. It's my indication that I'm on the right path, narwhals." And I'm like, I haven't even heard of a narwhal in 20 probably years. I leave her from Seattle. I get on the plane. I see all these stuffed animals at the airport of narwhals. I go to South Carolina. There's a store called the Narwhal Store. I mention it to Carrie. Carrie says, "Oh, I do the narwhal meditation." And I'm like, what? This is just, once again, the universe showing you signs that you're on the right path. And then I make a comment to Carrie on a Voxer, which I think is just a Carrie. And then we find out it's to the whole staff. And then I find out who's the narwhal expert of our group, but Sarah. Sarah, tell them about narwhals.
Oh, it's my favorite thing. And one of the only things I know about them. But in that Voxer, I shared that they travel through really thin, narrow passageways between big ice chunks. And it's too narrow.
Speak louder. So
it is too narrow for them to turn around. So if two packs or herds, I still don't know what
a group
of narwhals is called, when they come head to head with each other, two different packs, one will simply turn around and go with the other since they can't go around each other. And they just become one giant unit of narwhals. And just join.
And so what perfect. And so what Dr. Christine and I have talked about is bringing our two worlds together, that we have worked in the same industry of this biological medicine platform, but she has contacts and access, and I have contacts and access, and we got to bring our two worlds together like narwhals. And we're back still reading about one crystal that's literally hitting the head of every freaking lesson in my life. We're not quite done. A stone of inspiration that encourages trust. We need to trust that the good will win. We need to trust that the authenticity and that life and thriving and loving and living is what it's all about. Not hiding and separating and disconnecting, but the exact opposite. Grape agate facilitates finding your karmic strength. And the last sentence is that it decongests the body through lymph flow. And I'm not kidding you. That's exactly what it says in the book with the cover that I walked into for the gift that they were giving me for Christmas. It literally says lymphatic flow. And under it is the other crystal that I saw last time that I was there, that I was like, that is the craziest looking thing I've ever seen. It looks like these fingers of purple gorgeousness coming out of the earth. And this is called the spirit quartz. And I said, oh, what's the spirit quartz for? It's an excellent crystal for promoting any collective activity, whether socially or at work, in the community, or for sporting events. It encourages team building and brings productive harmony to group efforts. It is particularly useful for those in service-based occupations, such as healthcare or teaching, and maintains focus on the care to not be worn down by administrative or budgetary restraints. Mic drop. This is the epitome of my life up to this 47th year that I'm beginning. From here we flow. From here we go as a team, as a unit. And I encourage all of you to follow us on every platform we have and share. Be part of our narwhal team. Join us on the path. Follow your heart and follow your path to your own wellness, to your true healing. Because I want for every one of you what I have been gifted through the work that I have done and the access that I've had in the last 23 years, now 24 years, as I can start saying this year, to the internal power inside me that heals, and that internal power that heals and connects to everything else on the planet. I am not a huge fan of getting tattoos for various reasons at this point in my life. But when I was 18 years old, I did a diet called the Master Cleanse. So many of you are probably very familiar with. And when I opened the Master Cleanse book, there was a picture inside the book of this symbol. And under the symbol, it said universal truth. We all come from one, we all go to one. And I took a copy of it and I put it in a book and I used it as my like bookmark for years. And I said, oh, if I ever want a tattoo, that would be the only thing I get. A symbol denoting that we all come from one and we all go back to one. I held that in my car for 7 years. And when I met Ian, I was 23, but then when Ian met me, I was 25. That's the little ongoing joke, because when you're his client versus his friend, it's a very different experience. And so as I met Ian, actually, before I finish that story, hold on. My birthday today, my staff gives me these beautiful crystal earrings. They do not know any of this story yet. That's why they're here. And Bree, can you read what these beautiful Align crystals that you gave me are good for?
Focuses energies for balance, grace, and harmony.
Grace, again. So this is just a beautiful representation that when we follow our true hearts, it is like a magic carpet ride, and you wiggle your nose and you get whatever you want, and the things just happen because you believe it. So I met Ian, he met me 2 years later, and I mentioned something about wanting this tattoo, and the next thing I know, I'm in a tattoo chair. It's the only tattoo I have, and I'm going to end by showing it all to you because it's right here, and it means that we all come from one and we all go back to one. So I'm ending it with my butt. Here you go. We all, and my leather pants. And well, they're pleather really, but we all go back to one. We all come from one. We all are all one. I love you all. Happy birthday to all of you from me on my birthday, because I'm celebrating each and every one of you with me as I was birthed into this world. And I'm so happy to be on this journey with each and every one of you. Blessings to you all.